So I'm going to be going over how to tie a 6mm ripcord. What you're going to need is obviously your 6mm cord and a pair of scissors and a lighter. What we're going to do is we're just going to tie a basic overhand on a bite with just a short amount of tail, and then you're just going to go about an arm's length and you're going to make a cut. Once you've made your cut for your length of your ripcord, you're going to use a lighter and you'll just burn off the frayed ends. Your bite should be roughly about a finger, thumb, but you don't want it to be too much bigger than that. Next, we're going to go over how to tie the ripcord around the working bundle of the load. We're going to pull the working bundle with the nozzle slightly out from the bed. You're going to bring the knot or the bite side over to the edge here, and you're going to bring the rest of the cord around, and you're going to create a bite in that knot there, and you're going to try to pull as tight as you can to make sure that that bundle gets nice and snug. And then you're going to just pinch that knot right there where that bite is, let it slide through, and then you're going to bring another bite into that first bite, and then we want to bring that down to, again, about 2 fingers or a finger for easy deployment of the ripcord. And then you'll go around to the other side of the bed and you'll just pull from the bottom and bring everything back. So next I'm going to go over how to tie the ripcord just at a different angle. So you're going to bring again the bundle out. You're going to go underneath where just behind the bail, and then bring it up so that it's right at the top of the edge of the bundle here. And then again, I'm going to bring a bite in and get it as snug as I can. And what I want to be really pulling on is this line there, and get it nice and tight. And then I'm going to be bringing in this next bite right here. I'm going to snug that up, and then I want to leave about a finger or two here for when I have that on my shoulder on the right side. This ripcord is really accessible and I can just pull it and it'll open up. Alright, so next I'm going to go over what not to do, because I think that this is going to be the most common mistake when tying this ripcord. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to bring the whole line through that bite at the top. What's going to happen is you may see it where somebody brings through just like a slip knot after bringing that whole line through, and it looks very similar to what we have for what we want, which is that bite with a bite. Yeah, but what's going to happen when you pull the line, it's going to go like that. It's not a game changer. You're just going to have to open it up and pull it out. It's not going to open up like the book when we tie it with a bite with another bite. So we want that bite to come through, squeeze it, get it really tight, hold that knot, slide through, bring another bite in, and that's what we want for our ripcord, so that it opens up like a book and it's easily to release. So next I'm going to talk about how the ripcord should release while it's on your shoulder. So as you're deploying the load and you're ready to pull the ripcord, this is why we want to have a little bit of a longer strand here. It makes for, while you're ready to deploy, easy to pull. And this is why we want to have that knot a little bit smaller. So once the knot is tied correctly and you're ready to deploy, you're just going to pull that ripcord and it should open like a book, and the ripcord's just going to fall on the ground, and then you're going to be ready to deploy your line. Next, I'm going to be going over a deployment of our 1 3/4 Minuteman 200 foot pre-connect. We're going to be doing a reverse deployment, which means I'm going to be going up to my deployment site and bringing my flakes back away from the door. So I'm going to come up to my working line here. I can pull on the bail and squeeze the top. And I'm gonna bring it down to about my waist. Make sure I have good footing. Step off the truck. Take a few steps forward so that the flake, this long flake that's over the top of my pack here, it'll hopefully sag down, not cross over. And then I'm gonna step back and grab my 2 dog ears. I'm gonna deploy to my deployment site. I'm gonna go at a slow pace so you can see what I'm doing. I had my first pull of my flake, which was the bottom of my load in the supply. And then I'm gonna come over. Over to my deployment site. I've sized up my door and my hinges so that I deploy in the proper direction to make sure that I'm not going to be restricted by any of the turns or the way that the door opens. And this is where my ripcord comes in. So if I feel like this is over the top of my SCBA, I can just kind of throw that up and it shouldn't be in my way. I'm going to drop this down to the door, and now the front of my bundle stays nice and compact because of that ripcord. I can just pull that here, and I'm gonna grab 2 flakes in. So I'm not gonna count the nozzle. My 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm gonna grab here and here. I'm gonna walk back this way. I'm gonna give it a couple flakes here. All right, so now we're just gonna take a closer look at which flakes to grab when you're doing the reverse deployment. I got my ripcord in place, and I'm gonna drop it with the ripcord. You can see that once I've dropped it, should keep everything nice and tight together, especially at the front of the bundle. I can then pull my ripcord from here. It's going to open up. I'm going to count my flakes in, not counting the nozzle. Flakes 1, 2, flake 1, 2, and then I'm going to grab from there. I'm going to walk back to my desired angle based off of my hinge on the door. Give it a quick flip, and now I have a tack over supply, quick flip here, a tack over supply here, and now I also have my 50-foot coupling up next to the nozzle. So my nozzle man can be here, ready to go, and whoever's backing up the nozzle man can have a 50-foot section to either put around their waist and go in with them for more leverage with our bigger leg muscles, or they can just grab it here. The ripcord doesn't matter, and we'll just keep flaking in from here. All right, so this next deployment I'm going to be going over is called the forward deployment. I'm going to put it on my shoulder, the same every time. Pull my line out, bring it to about my waist, step off the truck, make a couple steps forward, step back to clear the SCBA. When I make my turn for my dog ears, grab my 2 dog ears, pull them off the truck. Wait for the first tug, let go. Wait for the second tug, let go. Okay, this is where the forward deployment comes in. I'm gonna pull my ripcord. I'm gonna grab with my right hand. I can drop this flake if I need to, if it's in the way. Right hand goes to the nozzle. Left hand goes to about the 50% mark of the load on my shoulder, and I'm gonna throw the whole thing off. Except for hanging onto the nozzle and that flake. And now, my line will flake out as I go to my deployment site. I got my deployment site where my door is. I can drop my nozzle. And again, I have my 50-foot section right here so that I know if I take that coupling in, we'll have 50 feet interior right off the bat. So next I'm going to be going over the Volcano Load. This is an effective deployment for if we have a more confined space, such as like a balcony, stairwell, where we don't have the wide open space to be able to flake out our hose effectively, like our reverse and our forward. I have some cones set up to mimic a balcony as like a confined space and how we can utilize this deployment. I'm going to step off the truck exactly the same. I'm going to flake out my hose the same, make sure that I'm looking at where I want the rest of my supply line to be effective to come into where I'm going to be moving interior. And I'm going to step up, walk up to my deployment site. Again, I can just pull my ripcord, and I'm going to get rid of 2 flakes on the top just to make things a little bit easier for me. I'm next going to grab, just like with my forward, my right hand's on the nozzle. And then what's going to change is I'm going to sewing machine my hand through each one of these flakes like this. And again, I can just get rid of those top flakes if they're kind of in the way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop this off my shoulder and bring out my line here. I'm going to take my nozzle and throw it off to the side. I'm going to open up my line like this. At this point, I could step into it and I can drop it on the ground, or it may be more effective for me to walk up to like the banister of the balcony or a wall, and I can call for water now like this, and once the line is all the way charged, it'll maintain and hold itself where I want it to be. If it's on the ground, I'm just going to step into it and drop it down. I want to do a quick survey of the line to make sure that it's exactly how I want it to be deployed when that line pulls through. And again, do a quick check of my flakes that I threw off here at the side. Now we're ready for water.